Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow, and today's episode, we're going to get into some data collecting, okay? So, we have this notion that, animes in a particular era or something, they all sort of follow a certain sort of, genre type because obviously when something is really popular, then all the companies decide to jump on the bandwagon and go, hey, because those guys are making, this particular type of anime, we're going to make, more of it. So, a lot of people saying that, oh, well, a lot of these modern animes are all isekais, and so let's continue making more isekais and more animes where people are going into the video games or into heavens or other worlds or multiverses and all of this stuff. And let's do that. But we only say this because of our personal account or this type of thing. And just the same way I always say that, oh yeah, a lot of the animes in the 80s are all girls with guns shows, right? Well, in today's episode, we're really going to dig into that and actually collect some empirical data to actually show us that, what exactly are the animes that we are watching from the 80s, and then of course I'll continue on from the 90s, right? So for continue from that, I want you to go down below, click like and click subscribe. Again, the YouTube algorithm definitely likes your participation. So if even if all you do is you press the like button, or even if you say, hey, this is a great idea or something like that, just write that in. YouTube just likes the interaction. Okay. If you want to support me financially, I have the super thanks button as well as the PayPal and the Patreon links below. Again, as I said, I'm currently updating my website and putting the entries and that kind of stuff in there. So again, you can also check that out to see now a browsable version of the all the episodes of the History of the Fan Anime that I've got on there right now. You can look up at that as well. Okay. So again into this topic, I've already done from the My Anime list, all the titles of the 1980s. I've also done the top 30 OVAs, movies, and TV shows from 1980s. But one of the things I haven't done is I haven't collected any empirical data about what genre those animes are from. So now that I got this list of all the the most significant animes to a North American fan, what exactly are those particular movies? And again, I've always just said, oh yeah, animes that really sell well are they have to have girls, they have to have guns, and they have to have gore, right? I've always just said that. And that's always based off a personal account, because I can quickly think, well, girls with guns and gore. Well, I'm thinking Dirty Pair, I'm thinking Bubblegum Crisis, I'm thinking, uh, you know, um, things like Cat's Eye, and basically a lot of the shows of the Femme Fatale, and of course the gore. I'm thinking of like Wicked City and Hell City Shinjuku and Goku the Midnight Eye and all these type of shows like that, right? So I'm thinking again, so personal sort of accounts and that kind of stuff, but none of this information is actually based off any sort of empirical data, right? So this episode, we're gonna actually start going through the basically my anime list that I've done already and compiled, and we're gonna go through and we're gonna compile that again based on genre, and then basically we should be able to graph up and find out what exactly were the most popular sort of categories that we have. All right, so. I'm going to switch over to my spreadsheet, and then we'll go through, and we'll go through what titles we have for that. Okay? So, without further delay, let's begin. Okay, so continue on. We're going to go with 1994, and we'll go through the titles here and add them onto the list according to the various categories. Okay? So, first on the list is Heavy Metal Elgime. Okay, so more of the giant robots and mechs and stuff like that. Sunrise, latest attempt at this. Elgime goes in here. Wingman. So that's like a like a Sentai type of show. It's probably mostly gotta go after girls, kind of like the kind of a more modern version of Rashomon, I guess. But let's put that as our Sentai. Okay, so Wingman. Okay, and then continue next up there is a Nausicaa. Nausicaa. Is it really a nothing? It's not really a war conflict type thing. No, I know they got to that. Yeah, let's stick on our sci-fi. It's more of a fantasy type of thing, but yeah, let's go under. I'm gonna go with that. Ursatsu 2. We put that under Slice Life. To Lock the Superman. Yeah, let's go with survival supplement. Okay. Sherlock Hound. Okay, so that's obviously based off of Sherlock Holmes, and that's the kind of next to this. So just with dogs, I guess, right? Hound. Okay. Let's see. So second season, we begin with Lupin the Third, series 3. Okay, so Lupin is opposite of that again. So Lupin the Third. Southern Cross. Okay, giant robot show. Giant Gorg. Well, what was it? Giant kid and his robots. Gorg. Okay. Third season, we have Magical Perisha. Okay, so obviously goes under Magical Girl shows. Birth. That's also science fiction fantasy, so let's jump with under that. Macross, Do You Remember Love? Ah, yes, the all-going Macross movie. Lensman movie. Okay. As much as I'd like to put it in sci-fi, I'll throw that actually under. Yeah, I'll throw it under the Lensman. Yeah. Telepaths 2015. Again, that goes under sci-fi. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Fourth part season here. We begin with Hokuto no Ken. Ah, yes. Post-war sort of apocalyptic kind of thing. Is it? Doesn't really belong under war, but I'm gonna throw under that one because it doesn't really fall. It's too general to be under sci-fi, so I'm gonna put under. I'm gonna put it under as a war show. Let's see, next one is Sherlock Hound. Okay, Sherlock Hound's already listed. Bismarck. Okay, Bismarck is Bismarck is a giant robot show. Because that's essentially Saber Riders and the Star Sheriffs. So there we go. So let's go. Okay. Let's see. Lensman the TV. Lensman's already on there. The Mighty Orbots. Okay, well, let's go in there. Let's see. The Creamy Mommy OVAs. Okay, so another medical show. Mommy. Let's see. And Vifam, the recaps. Vifam being the Giant Robot show. So, Vifams. Okay, so that basically covers 1994. So, what does that show us? Okay, so we had a couple of ones that are a little, well, not hard, a little bit hard to classify, but I mean, but there's so few of them. Like, but so it really doesn't really affect the statistics too much. Fist and North Star, debatable whether you want to call that a war show in the traditional sense, but sure, okay, fine. And No's like I mean, it wasn't really considered. Really, that's one of the ones you might have thrown into a fantasy category. Maybe I will actually erect, an extra category called fantasy, in that respect. To handle all the, things like D&D type of shows, that kind of stuff, as adventure type shows, when they arise. That may be a future category, but for now, I'm gonna throw that under that for now. Yes, but again, although we're starting to see a little bit break in the mold here, shall we say? More titles are appearing again under the crime detective release, because again, the era of Lupin and things like City Hunter, Cat's Eye, and that kind of stuff, are still coming. Okay, so we're gonna get more of these crime police detective things. And obviously we haven't hit the era of Detective Conan yet, but obviously that's gonna be coming up. Slice life shows are going to be more increasing, because they said these long shows like Urusha Tsura has proven to be popular. So obviously people are going to start shifting a little more that way. I mean, I guess there's always been that interest in magical girl shows, but I think this is going to start hitting in a really solid way, as they realize that hey, there's going to be a lot more female interest in the market coming soon. So obviously there's going to be more of this coming up. But still, science fiction and giant robots are basically still the big push in the industry, right? Let's either kind of a science fiction / fantasy in this case. I'm going to be happy to say that kind of focus, right? In the futuristic kind of a particular type of environment, right? And of course, let's not forget all the giant robots and that kind of stuff to basically market toys. And again, as I said, the majority of the titles here are like Sunrise type of titles again. So we know where the marketing and that stuff is going to go behind that, right? Okay, so that takes care of 1994. Let's go ahead and let's go look at 1985, and let's see what that brings up. Okay, 1985. Okay, so let's start the first batch here. We start with some OVAs, okay, because some TV shows. So OVAs. We start with Megazone 23. Okay, one-shot OVA. Definitely does go under sci-fi, but does it really consider a mech type show? I mean, in a sense, it almost can be considered an isekai, almost, but not quite. Was there enough giant robots and that stuff to it wasn't really the big focus. The Garlands were never a big selling item, so I'm going to throw Megazone 23 under just generic sci-fi. Okay. Area 88. Okay, that's... I'm going to classify that as a war show. Yoko Leda. Now, okay, this is where I'm thinking that I should really open up a fantasy type thing, because in many ways, it almost I mean, if it wasn't a fantasy by itself, it almost, in a sense, is an isekai, right? The modern day sort of President Bush, she goes back into the past. there's a alternate version of Yoko. So that's not the pure theme of it. I mean, I can see where if I was talking about Carol or Miyuki in Wonderland, that kind of thing, I was, you know what? I'm gonna open up the fantasy category here actually, and I'm gonna move Nausicaa over here because now I think I actually have enough of them to consider that, and then I'm gonna throw Yoko later here. Okay, so now we actually have a physical category for that. Greed. Okay, that's a good one. Vifam Ovier. Okay, so this is the first time during this year category we mentioned Vifam, so we're gonna write it here for its yearly basing thing. The Orgus Memorial, so Orgus Superdimensional Century Orgus goes in here, and that's what we do EVAs for this session. So they'll go to movies. Urusei Yatsura. Okay, so this is the third Urusei Yatsura movie. So we'll search for that under Yatsura 3. So that's the first time we mentioned that one. Dagger Kamui. Okay, so that's medieval Japanese, the legendary swords, I think. We'll throw that under. Yeah, we'll throw it under historical. Either that or fantasy, but it is, it has rootings of that. Bobbies. Okay, so that is like slice of life. Yes. Way to Virgin Space. Okay, sci-fi. And that's Virgin Space. Let's see, Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Okay, that's Tengai Omakyo. Obviously, that's that's historical, right? Okay, right. Based off of the dynasties and that stuff. Legend, Three Kingdoms. Okay. All right, so that takes care of first season. Second season, we have the premiere of the Zeta Gundam TV series. So obviously, one of Sunrise's biggest, money-making cows, which is Gundam. So this is the next rendition of Zeta Gundam, right? Touch. That's baseball. Dan Cougar. That's giant robots. In that, again, the never-ending story of the aliens have come to attack the Earth, and we will have to use a specialized Japanese machinery to beat them off. Okay, let's see. Creamy Mammy, the Long Goodbye, Olivier. So that goes in here. Creamy Mammy. And then the Bottoms, Olivier. So Bottoms. And that's it for that. So the movies now: Goshagun, Time Stranger, Giant Robot Show, or a sci-fi show, Giant Robot Show. Goshagun, yes. Delios is also a Giant Robot show. Okay, so that takes care of the second season, so third season now. Third season, we begin with the Dirty Pair TV series. So definitely it is science fiction, but because they work for the WWA, right? So they are basically like detectives, crime solvers, as it were, sometimes. So yeah, we'll call that the Dirty Pair. Magical Emmy. That's another magical show. Oops, how did the Bottoms get in there? Get rid of that, sorry. I misplaced the Bottoms here. Volumes need to go down here. Yeah, so Creepy Army, and then we went what, Long Goodbye, and now we're putting down Emmy. Okay, now, whoops, Emmy. All right, so that's all the new TV shows there. Okay, for the third season. Urusatsu the OVA. Okay, that's already been listed. Cosmo Police Justy. Yeah, okay, so, as much as I mean, in the title, I mean, obviously it is a sci-fi thing, but, because it has, the word police directly in the thing, let's put it in there. Cosmo Police Justy. Okay. Fandora, obviously that is a fantasy. Fandora. Minky Momo. Okay. Magic Girl Show. Mospita. Alright. More Votems, and more Vifam. Vifam is not listed this in the year, so let's review Vifam. Oh no, Vifam will be listed. Okay, sorry. So I don't have to worry about that. Okay, so movies then. Lupin the Third. Okay. Lupin is already in 1984, but it's not 1995, so let's Lupin the Third. Odin the Starlight. Okay, so that's a sci-fi, mythical almost. So let's write that under sci-fi then. Odin. And the Area 88 movie. I listed Area 88 under war. It's already there in war, so that's fine. We'll leave that alone then. Okay, so that's third season, fourth season. We have SPT Lacenar. Okay. Giant Mech, of course. I mean, we are talking about again the aliens of coming to the Earth thing again. But again, if it wasn't for the tracers themselves, that's the big selling thing for that. So that's for them. So, we done. Okay, next one is Toby Kage. Okay, so that's the robot show. I mean, you can almost say that's okay, if they didn't have the giant robots, okay, then you might have threw that under one of these ninja shows or whatever, or Warring Nations type shows, but definitely that goes there. High School Kimigumi. Okay, so that's high school comedy type of thing. So let's throw that under slice of life. Let's see, Kimigumi. Yeah, no Kataro. Okay, so, we usually, no Kataro. It's, in many ways, it mirrors how 3-9 is done. Horrible art style. Yeah, I'll throw it under sci-fi because that. Yeah, no. Kitaro, okay. Angel's Egg. Ah, yes, Amano stuff. Angel's Egg. Yeah, let's throw it. Yeah, let's throw it there. Yeah, under fiction. Yeah. I was thinking should I throw it under fantasy instead, but no, I'll leave it there. Ixir 1. Okay. Definitely sci-fi. Ixir 1 robots were, they were the big thing. right? Because now I'm getting into the, how would I classify Dengayo and shows like that. It really, or yeah, I mean, by itself, Extra One doesn't do anything, right? So yeah, I'm gonna throw it as a giant robot show. I mean, I know it can fit in some others, but that's really where it belongs. Dream Hunter Rem. That isn't really a magical girl show, but it doesn't fall into the category of fantasy either. Yeah, the closest that you would recommend. It's not even that, really that close either. I'm gonna throw it in here. It's not exactly where it needs to go as a magical girl show, but it's sort of where I would thread it. Fire Tripper. Okay, so this is now getting into that series of Rumiko Takahashi extra series here. Fire Tripper. This medieval Japanese sort of thing. It's not exactly in terms of historical reference, but it has its ties to that. So yeah, let's go with Fire Tripper as a historical. Let's see, Dirty Pair and the Laundry Affair. Okay, Dirty Pair's already listed. Orange Road Jump Special. Okay, so that's definitely Slice of Life. So that's the first beginning of that. So let's see. Orange Road. Rock Me Nora. Oh, good grief. That's literally a music video. it pretty well much is a music video. Rock Me Nora. Let's throw it on. Do I really want to throw it in sci-fi? Does it really fit under sci-fi? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna throw it here. It's not really going to happen, but yeah, it literally. I mean, I guess it's the same way how you define daikon. Like, I mean, does it really? Does it really belong in that kind of thing? No, not really. But, that's about as close as I'm going to get to it right now. Okay, so the next one is Bobby Stock. Okay, so I can always, so I guess I can always throw this under generic science fiction. It is about like this agent and trying to get the girl and everything like that. So, kinda, it could probably go under a police one with the subplot of the sci-fi. Yeah, so yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll add it to the the crime detective sort of thing. Although she's not really like police, but some sort of that kind of thing. So yeah, let's put it under police. So yeah, let's call it that. Vampire Hunter D. As much as I'd like to say it's has basis in no, it's got to be a medieval fantasy is more closest to what it would be. So I'm gonna call it Vampire Hunter D. It goes into that category. And Captain Tsubasa J. Well, obviously that is soccer. Captain Tsubasa J. Okay. All right, and so that will take care of all of 1985. Okay, so there's not so you can quickly see that not only and I've had the charts to show it in the past, but here we have a very significant jump in the number of titles, both TV series, OVAs, and movies that came out in this particular year. So there's a big sharp increase. And again, I've already made a video showing the dramatic increases starting this year, 1984. Well, it led up a little bit to 1984, but 95 and then 96 is just when it just started to explode, right? So, definitely a large number of titles to something like that. And so what is the number show us? Okay, well, obviously, you know, there's an increase in these medieval fantasy type of shows, right? Maybe not necessarily with historical backing, like Legend of Three Kingdoms, Dagger Chameleon, Fire Tripper, we're all dating back to like medieval Japanese times, right? That kind of stuff. So, if you want to loop in fantasy and like like medieval type of stuff, there's a sudden really sharp increase in the number of titles in that respect. Okay. Again, still sci-fi and giant robot shows are still the predominant thing. Again, some of the biggest titles came out this year. Zeta Gundam, Dan Cougar, obviously, came out, and a lot of other titles. They kept rebooting. Obviously, things like the Vi-Fab, the Orgus, Goshigun, Spida, things like that. Of course, the release of the SPD Legionnaire. That's another, again, Sunrise, getting out their toys, right? They need to make sure they keep releasing those every year. And that's without no doubt. Okay, so and again, a touch of little sports titles, but a bit of a jump on those magical girl shows, you know, and a good nice upkeep of the those crime detectives police type of stories. So we're going to get more into those as more time goes by. More slice of life shows, of course. The introduction of things like we always have more Urusatsu, but I mean the Orange Road and this concept of high school type shows, whether it's High School Mischief, High School romance comedy, maybe we'll probably get into like psychic high schools and that kind of stuff, and that kind of whatnot. Then we'll get into that, but for now, slice of life is definitely increasing there. So this is a nice sort of change in the landscape, as it were. Okay. So again, the episode's getting a little too long now, so I'm gonna have to cut it here as we get into the next couple of years as there's more stuff. And before I go to the next episode, I am going to go basically let you see the chart that the previous episode generated. So this is basically me taking the data that I had accumulated from the 1980 to 1983, throwing them into a numerical value. So basically, how many giant mecha shows, how many sports shows, how many magical shows, how many war shows, and that kind of stuff by year. Okay, and that's compensating for duplicates due to rehashing, right? Because or kind of let's take some old content and let's make an OVA, make a whatever of it. So that includes the repeats of that, right? The drag on the franchise, as it were, right? But counting, leaving that in, okay, I put it into a chart like this, and then basically you can see by chart, in the basically first 4 years of the 1980s. Again, as I've already speculated and said, you can see the majority of the titles are mecha titles and sci-fi titles, and then that also includes sci-fi kind of mecha titles where it's for example Gundam, right? Because they fall in both categories there. We have good showings in the crime detective column. There seems to be a number of titles there. Followed by the sports and basically based off of historical type of things, and all the other categories are still pretty meddling right now, and whatnot. We haven't got a lot of those yet, okay, but soon we will get to those, and we'll see those numbers. So this is what the graph is that we're building, and this is sort of the data that we're trying to collect to prove this particular point that hey. And it's, it seems right now it's obvious. The animes that came out in the 80s, they're basically let's capture the essence of sci-fi and futuristic kind of things. We're not really interested in modern day. This is what happened. Oh, humdrum kind of things. No, we want people that have special powers or futuristic scenarios and that kind of stuff. Or we're into the mechas where we're basically we're trying to market and sell model kits and toys and video games. In this case, obviously, on some of the early consoles and that kind of stuff or whatever. Things like that, this is what it's, the idea is what it's proposing to be, right? So, definitely, I'll be adding numbers into this sheet, and then we'll see how that turns out. Okay, so stay tuned for that. Do remember to hit that subscribe button so we get the next episode as we continue to collect more data in the next few episodes. Okay. Okay, hope you found that really interesting. Again, didn't quite, this obviously, episode kind of got a little long, and I know that when, as we go on into the late 80s and get into the 90s and where there's more titles, obviously this list is going to get longer and longer. So, definitely want to make sure you are subscribed to make sure that you will get those episodes when I release them, because I'm going to have to do more to finish this this data collecting. All right. So, until next time, I will see you again.